Wow, Ntsiki, thank you. Every time you read that profile, I'm inspired myself, and I always ask the entrepreneurs if there's anyone who's ready to offer me a job. I've yet to find one who's willing to do so. Maybe they're under the illusion that I'm paid a lot at Sasol. Let me assure you, make me an offer, we may have a good conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and once again, welcome to our fourth series, and unfortunately, which is the last one. But it has been an exciting journey that as we reflect on it, we are quite excited to have been part of it, and particularly to have led it for the benefit of our SMEs in the country. As Ntsiki has said, we had decided that this is not just an event for Sasol SMEs, but an event that anybody who's interested can benefit from. So we hope you've taken learnings from the previous sessions, and we hope you've enjoyed being part of it, and that you also have used some of the materials that we've shared with you in the process. And as we've said through Ntsiki, we are quite happy to have a handful of you in the room. As COVID regulations seems to be under review, we're likely to be having more sessions where we have them on a face-to-face basis, which is, if I were to be honest with you, what I prefer the most. I'm not a tech giant where it's easy working in front of a computer. I prefer talking to people because that way you can easily see how they react and you're able to adapt your engagement with them. Otherwise, the computer misleads you. But what Ntsiki started with was talking about why we did these events from the start. We did this to deal with a particular intervention, which was the COVID-19. We adapted ourselves to deal with the social unrest in the country. The theme behind all of this is you need to understand that there are swan events that you will face in your career, in your business, in whatever you do on a continuous basis. We had not at that time spoken about geopolitical politics or geopolitical developments. We now know what is happening in Ukraine and Russia. We now know there's shortage of many raw materials around the country. Now, if you're an SME whose business model is designed on you procuring goods, for example, from low-cost countries such as India and China, which is a good model, there's nothing wrong with that, big companies like us do it. But if that's your only source of input into your business processes, imagine what that will do to you. I think you would know by now that we're having a huge logistical challenge of bringing things from these countries or even shipping things around the world. Now, what must you do as an MSME to deal with such unforeseen circumstances as they happen? So if there's anything we would have taught you through this or we would have shared with you, this is swan events happen at all points of our lives, and we just need to find a way to prepare for ourselves. In my closing remark, I will share with you a strategy of how you perhaps can deal with that in your business. But Ntsiki has recapped, and the video has also confirmed some of the series that we've had. They were strategically designed, they're strategically titled so that they show an advancement and a growth in the journey. Power to Survive simply spoke about, you are in a difficult problem now, how do you survive? Opportunity to improve is you've now survived. How do you improve yourself? How do you grow yourself and maintain yourself through that? And then how do you upgrade and optimize using modern technology, using your own mental health in the process? Because it doesn't matter you doing everything else, but mentally you are constrained, and the people around you then suffer the consequences of how you behave when your mental mind starts changing itself. And how do you remain responsive in the challenging times? All of these sessions, or rather the previous three series, are available on YouTube. You are always welcome to reflect on them and update them. Today we're focusing on thriving as a business. So there's a lot more information that we're going to be sharing with you. How do you thrive as an SME? What are those things that you need to look out for as you grow? But let me switch gears a little bit. What is it that is facing you, corporates, countries around the world? It is the whole issue around the greenhouse gas emissions, right? We all have to find a way of reducing our greenhouse gas emissions. As an organization in Sasol, we've got two major milestones that we've set for ourselves. We want to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 30% in the year 2030. That means we want to improve reliance from fossil fuel, being coal as a feedstock in our area, to moving towards renewable energy. If you had designed your business around supporting petrochemical industries, how do you position yourself to be in that space? And we'll talk about that, I think, in the next panel conversation. Our Sasol revised strategy, as I indicated, is premised on how we want to improve using renewable energy in 2030 with a 30% reduction. But in 2050, we want to be a net zero emitter of greenhouse gas emissions. So that calls for a lot of innovative thinking, and hence our revised strategy that says we want to innovate for the future. And we do so with the primary focus on the 3 Ps. It is the people, it is the planet, and yes, there's profit. Otherwise, we won't be in business if we're not doing it to make money out of it. So the environmental part of it, how Sasol wants to do that would be shared and has already been shared in various media platforms and requires us to innovate, change our plans, change our ways of working, and adopt ways that would not only serve us for now, but will also support generations that will come after us. We're not doing this in isolation. We're not doing this on our own. It is important that we collaborate, and many of our projects are in collaboration with various entities, including government. I think one of the speakers would be talking to that later on today. What we're hoping to do with these services, ladies and gentlemen, is to help prepare you. But unfortunately, we cannot prepare you for all eventualities. There's movement from a point where you are consciously not aware to where you are consciously aware that there are things that might come my way. It is upon you as an SMME to look out for those things, to stay alert, and be prepared to deal with such things as they come your way. We remain as organizations available, and as Sasol, we have committed ourselves to work with SMMEs and support them as best as we can. We remain there available, we remain to provide support, but in many instances, it is programs that are driven by us having captured some feedback from you around what is it that you want, and we prepare ourselves then to support you along those. But it is important that you are at the cold face of the challenges you're facing, that you bring that to the fore, engage companies like ours, and we design programs that would assist you and others who are in that difficult position. Now, you might be saying I'm speaking gibberish. What does all this mean? I want you to take this message back home today, that you need to run your business with 2 engines. I'm not saying make your car to be more powerful and be a V8 or a V12. No. 2 engines is such that you have the one engine that deals with your business as it is today. It deals with your cash cow. It deals with your day-to-day running and maintenance of your business from raw material right up until you sell your goods. We've spoken a lot about customer centricity. It is about how do you stay relevant in today's world, making money and successful and impacting others as you go along with your businesses. That's your first engine. If you don't take care of that engine, you unfortunately don't have a business. But similarly, or rather equally, as an entrepreneur, you need to run a second engine while running the first engine. And your second engine is about dealing with the challenges and designing and developing yourself for the future. They need to run simultaneously. Because if you run just about being future focused, you run the risk of some ideas by their nature is they start small and they grow and they grow. Some fail, some you stop, some you change. But that's why the future cannot only be your source of focus. But you really cannot ignore that you need to run parallel engines, and the most important of these is that there must be collaboration between the 2. Let me give you a practical example. Sasol is running today using a coals to liquid technology where we use mostly coal as our feedstock. Yes, we do bring in gas, and gas is part of our transition into renewables as we go forward. But most importantly is we have a strategy that wants to be making us a net zero emitter in 2050. We're not going to just focus on that. We still need to sell fuel. We still need to sell products. And therefore, we must maintain our existing assets while we're looking for the future. So if there's anything as a keynote message that I would like to leave with you today is always think about these two engines. If your engine was just sourcing goods from India and China, what are you going to do if we have this continued geopolitics where we can't move goods and cargo around the world? Shouldn't you be having diverse sources of supply? Shouldn't you be finding other areas that can equally provide you with the product? It might be that it's not at optimal prices, but what's your backup plan? Can you look at other suppliers within the African continent? Do you want to diverse your sources of supply across the various continents? So you need to be proactive in looking at that, ladies and gentlemen. It would be remiss of me then, ladies and gentlemen, not to recognize that as we celebrate the last day of International Women's Day today, we do not recognize the women in the house and those on the call. And as I always say, congratulations, ladies, and to our entrepreneurs that have successfully joined our Women in Engineering program. I understand some of them are here and in the room. Congratulations to you, and we wish you all the best. And in future, I just would like to see you standing in the podium and telling us how your lives have been changed by Sasol's intervention in this regard. I wish you all a pleasant day, and I'd like you to enjoy the rest of the day, be cooperative, participate, ask questions, keep us entertained, we'll keep you entertained, but most of all, have a pleasant and an enjoyable day, and we look forward to enjoying the rest of the day with you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.